Tonight on the Fanatic Forum, we're going to take another trip down Artist Alley and introduce you to an artist you need to be knowing about here. Plus, we've got some X-Men 97 talk and maybe some other pop culture stuff in there. We got all kinds of things to talk about here, plus new comic reviews as well. And we're going to get to all of that right after this. Everybody, happy Friday and welcome to the Fanatic Forum. I'm your Fanatic and host, George Buehler. Hope you all are having a good week out there so far. Of course, it is Easter weekend here, so for all you guys that celebrate, happy Easter to you all. Of course, we got a nice weekend for it, so at least in this area. I don't know about where you guys are, but it's nice out here in E-Town, so there you go. You've got the windows open a little bit, so you hear some birds singing from time to time. Hopefully, no other disturbances. Anywho here. So lots of cool things to celebrate this Easter weekend, of course. We got the new Godzilla Kong movie in theaters right now. That opened up this weekend. New Ghostbusters opened up last weekend. I wish my local theater got Late Night with the Devil, the new horror movie. They've got David Desmalkian playing like a late night show host in looks like maybe like the 70s or early 80s. Getting great reviews. That trailer looks awesome. So, yeah. I would love to see that one, so I may have to wait till streaming or something like that. So either way, so we got all kinds of cool comic book reviews for you guys. But of course, would be remiss if I didn't cover a couple of things here. First and foremost, just to get a little serious here, we have to acknowledge the passing of one of the great actors. This gentleman, of course, was the first Black actor to win a supporting Oscar Oscar award, and also he's an Emmy Award winner. Of course, just numerous films here. But Louis Gossett Jr. Passed away today at the age of 87. At this time, right now, the reasons are undisclosed. So don't know what it was. But yeah. I mean, this guy, of course, everybody knows him, especially from An Officer and a Gentleman, The Color Purple, some of his, early theater work. But of course, history, oddly enough, I know him from a lot of his mid to late 80s stuff, especially a lot of his, like the Iron Eagle movies. Yeah, the Iron Eagle is where that, very, very much on my sleeve. Love those movies. The Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren, Firewalker with Chuck Norris. This may not be his best work, perhaps, but his performances were always top notch, always dependable there. So if he was the best actor in the movie, he was the best actor in the movie. But yeah, so definitely love this stuff. Of course, some of his more recent material, the Watchmen series that HBO did a one and done season for was incredible. I don't want to spoil too much about his role, just in case you haven't seen the movie. But if you are the series, if you are a Watchmen fan, though, I highly recommend checking the series out. Louis Gossett Jr. passing away at 87 years old. So, yeah, rest in power to that fine actor there. On a lighter note, though, I've been getting asked recently, have I seen X-Men 97 yet? Have I caught up? Finally, the answer is yes. I had a couple of days off from the shop. I realized I haven't taken a vacation in like 2 years. Like, hey, you know what, Tommy, I'm going to take a couple extra days off here. So I got to see all 3 episodes that are currently available on Disney Plus, and I am impressed. The animation definitely has got an upgrade. I mean, it's got that Disney money now, so they can afford that sort of thing. But yeah, definite upgrade on the animation. The voice actors are really good. It was nice to see or hear some familiar voices, but the interesting thing is that I know, like, the actor who did the voice for Cyclops and the actor who did the voice for Magneto in the original 90s series, I believe both those actors passed away, so they had to hire new people. The Cyclops actor, you can't. It's very hard to tell the difference, and kind of very similar with Magneto. But like I said, when I first heard Cyclops, I was like, "Oh, cool, it's the same guy." I thought he died, and I was like, "He did." So, Rogue, I think, was the most notable difference. You can definitely tell it's a different actress on there. I have no problem with her performance. It's just you can tell it's not the same girl from the '90s. Other than that, yeah, really enjoy the series so far. I love all the kind of the some of the late 80s, early 90s storylines they're kicking in already. Also, kind of just some subplots they're throwing in there as well. So, yeah. And of course, I love this period where basically the world thinks Xavier is dead, but he's actually in space getting cured by Lilandra. And basically, Magneto is in charge of the team. Yeah. It's a brief period of X-Men history, but it's a very interesting period of time because it's the first time Magneto tries to go good. He tries a couple of times. He fails every time eventually, but he does eventually try. So you got to give him some credit about that. So either way, so yeah, 3 episodes I believe are streaming. New episodes come on Wednesdays. So I think we have like a total of 10 for this first season, and then. If memory serves, I believe they did say they greenlit a second season already, just because the demand was already there. The reception's been very, great, been well received for it. So yeah, I believe we're going to get a second season. Not sure when, but yeah, Disney's got a lot of catching up to do, and we got some. They got to make some announcements here about if we've got a Kang replacement, for the MCU, what the future for the Avengers movies are going to be, all that sort of stuff. So lots of questions here, and they need to make some answers here. Either way, we have some business to take here because I have to have you. I'm sorry, I've just got to introduce you to a new friend of ours here. Basically, we've done the kind of rebranding this the Fanatic Forum Artist Alley here because we've had enough artists on here that we need to kind of acknowledge them and group them all together here. So, I have a new one to introduce you to. My friend Carl Wilson. Carl, hello, sir. How you doing?
Very well, George. How about you tonight?
Oh, great, man. As always. So, just to give your folks here a little glimpse here of some of your talents, I've got a bunch of images up here of some of your work here. We'll briefly kind of discuss some of this here, but of course, on your Facebook page for Carl Wilson Art, is that correct?
Carl H. Wilson Art.
H. Wilson Art. Sorry, thank you. Basically, you got this wonderful tiger picture there, this black and white one. And so, what's the medium you use? Is this a pencil or?
That actually is all ink.
Wow. Yeah, just the softness of the quality there. It's like that's what I say. The first time we met was very it was with Bill Hood's I can't remember one of his Creative Overflow.
Oh yes.
Yeah, his convention he hosted there, and so yeah, it was the first time we met there, and so of course this particular picture was the first thing that drew me. I saw that in your stuff, like, oh yeah, I gotta have that, and sure enough,
I do remember you got that. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I took this down because I've got this on a different wall, so it doesn't face here, so I had to take this down. But yeah, so had to get my own original Carl Wilson here, but and now of course you've done a Ace Frehley in a similar style, and yeah, I actually have to get that one too. But yeah, briefly, like, how long have you been doing art and been an artist?
Well, it probably goes back to when I was a little kid. I mean, if you want to call that art, but I mean that was the beginning. Probably mid 70s, I guess. 4 or 5 years old. Yeah. I could remember, and probably not the best day or weekend to mention this, but I can remember sitting in church drawing on the little handouts, that they'd, give you when you came in to sit down. And I guess mom was happy because I stayed quiet and just, did my thing. But yeah, just kind of off and on, since I was a kid, but have really taken a deep dive probably the last 3-4 years.
So. We first met. I've said again, your talent is just remarkable. So I'm just really impressed with that stuff.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I've got a few others here. Like, I love this Cylon you have here. I mean, that's just, again, it looks like it's another. Is that another ink drawing there, or
Yeah, that one I believe was ink, or primarily ink with I think maybe some art markers thrown in, maybe a little bit of
yeah,
ink wash to get some of those grays.
yeah? I mean, 'cause it's just like it looks metallic, and of course you've got the the sparkles on there too, kind of adds to it. But yeah, I mean, it just looks like this looks like it's just a metallic bust of the Cylon there. Just incredible detail there. This is another one I love here, Cobra Commander here. That is just fantastic.
Yeah, that one was interesting because although I really like to stick with traditional art mediums, um, that was really my first painting I tried out. That's all digital. So
Oh,
did
really?
that one all did that all on my iPad using different types of oil paint brushes. But I'm an oil painter also, so I tried
Right.
that version digitally. So
God, yeah, that's just incredible there. Yeah. Yeah, actually you talked about trying to work in different mediums and more traditional art. Like you've got this cardinal picture that you sent me here.
ah,
Yeah, that is just gorgeous. Incredible detail on that
yeah, that one actually I just finished up probably about a week ago.
one.
Um,
Okay.
I've been wanting to do a cardinal, for a while. Um, well, somewhat, I guess you could say, lifelong Cardinals fan. I lived here in Louisville, growing up in the '70s and '80s.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I like doing wildlife, as you saw from the the tiger portrait. Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
and I'm really trying to dedicate 2024 to spending more time with oil paint.
Yeah. Like I said, it just, yeah, just, I love the brushstroke work on there too. Yeah. Just, yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Um, let's see here. I'm gonna because I'm when it comes to sports stuff, my knowledge is wrestling, and then that's about it. So I'm gonna take a wild guess that's Terry Bradshaw.
It is. It is first
Hey,
first
hey.
first NFL team that I really liked following.
Yeah, because I knew it's like okay, that's a Steelers logo there. So like I didn't look it up and didn't Google him. I was like, well, it looks like Terry Bradshaw. So all right, cool. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, that's just
obviously an older picture of Terry Bradshaw, probably mid to late '70s, because you can tell it's got the old style face mask on it. So,
oh yeah.
but I
Yeah.
wanted to do something that you don't typically see out there.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, it looks like it's like a trading card. Kind of just it's really well done there. And now the bigger question, being a Terry Bradshaw fan, have you heard any of his records he did back in the '70s?
I have not, and was not even aware that he had done anything like that.
He had their country records, not a big surprise,
Huh.
and frankly, they're not that bad because he doesn't try to go outside of the box too much. He's well aware of the fact that this is somebody's idea of a money grab because he's a very popular athlete, and they're like, well, you can kind of sing, and everybody likes your personality, so let's do a couple country records.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
I believe they might be available on streaming, but yeah, Terry Bradshaw's got a couple of country records under his belt.
well, I will have to look those up, because I mean, I guess if Terry Bradshaw, it's not a far stretch to know that William Shatner did the same thing, probably
Yeah,
around the height of popularity, when the original series was on.
basically, kids, look up the Dinah Shore show. I'm sure there's some clips on YouTube or whatnot. She was daytime talk show host back in the day. Your grandma loved her, and basically she would get it seemed like every celebrity that had a record in like the late 70s through like the very early 80s. So whatever actor of the day fancied themselves as a musician decided to release a record, they were going to be on Dinah Shore, guaranteed. And so yeah, Terry Bradshaw, William Shatner, Telly Savalas, Hervé Villachez, from Fantasy Island.
Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh, who else? Oh, David Carradine. When he did a biopic about Woody Guthrie for about 3 years, he thought he was Woody Guthrie. So he decided he's going to release some folk records of very long, boring songs. Sorry, David, rest in peace. But Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wasn't aware of all those. Hmm.
Oh yeah, I can take you down the rabbit hole of bad celebrity records. There's a lot of good ones out there too. Character actor Michael Parks in his heyday had about four under his belt, and his were good.
Yeah.
Like they're older, kind of like getting towards like the kind of the late '70s, in the early kind of cosmopolitan era country, but still nonetheless good stuff. Because like, he had a TV show in the late '70s. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, he had a TV show for a little bit of time, and that's kind of what kicked it off there. But yeah, like I said, tons of '70s and '80s actors that all had. This is the crazy little rabbit holes we sometimes go down here on the Fanatic Forum. We're going to take a brief break here, talking about your art here, to talk about some other people's arts, if you don't mind.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, of course, we always do comic book reviews here on the Fanatic Forum, and so I've got a few that I want to share. One from a couple of weeks ago that I was a little late to the punch on, but for horror fans,
Oh,
Sumerian, in partnership with Massive Comics, put out The Fog. The first issue's been out, so we're going to get a second issue here, probably in a couple of weeks. This is a sequel to the '80s John Carpenter film.
hmm.
So basically, the blonde woman in the center is the daughter of Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins characters in the movie, because they were the hero and heroines of the film, and they kind of end up hooking up at the end of the movie. Well, they had a kid. Um, Adrienne Barbeau's character, the DJ, she and her son are actually still in the same town. They never left for some undisclosed reasons, but it has probably a lot to do with the events of the original film. But yeah, so it's definitely tying in. There's perhaps some reoccurrences of the evil ghost pirate captain and his crew coming back. So yeah, it's like it's got a nice eerie kind of quality to it. First issue's kind of more of a setup of things and setting the tone, but I think things are going to get pretty crazy in the next couple of issues. But I think it's only a 4-issue series, but yeah, worth checking out.
That's awesome, George. I'm just going to throw this out there. The original Fog, not the remake, but the
Right, yeah.
original Fog from 1980, probably my top in my top three Carpenter films from the 80s, and
Oh
probably top 3 or 4 horror films, ever. So
yeah, agreed.
I'm
Yeah,
definitely going to have to check that out.
yeah, love that one. So for me, I would say I was on my buddy Brian's podcast, Movie Meltdown. So there's an upcoming episode coming out for that. But we were talking Carpenter movies, and yeah, I said basically in the exact order of importance to me for Carpenter movies, it's The Thing, Escape from New York, and Assault on Precinct 13. That's my top three. So, yeah, I grew up a huge Carpenter fan. He's basically the guy that kind of got me into like following directors, because he had the good sense to put his name above every movie he did. So he had a good branding kind of thing when no other directors were doing that, even the ones who were household names. I mean, even Steven Spielberg was doing that. So it was like, oh, okay. And then that's kind of what started going down the rabbit hole, is like, okay, I know this guy now. I know this guy. And here's all their movies. So,
Yeah, I will have to say, and this may generate some debate, going down the rabbit hole. And of course, no offense at all to Rick Baker from American Werewolf in London, but I would challenge anybody to find a film with better effects than The Thing.
yeah, yeah. It's such a shame too that movie didn't do more at the box office, but it was the unfortunate fate of coming out in the summer of 1982. Which I've talked about that before on the podcast. The summer of '82 had, actually, the entire year of 1982 had incredible films that came
Oh
out
yeah,
around the
all
summer
year long.
season, and then of course later on in the Christmas holiday season around Oscar time. But there was also this small brown alien with a penchant for Reese's Pieces,
Yes.
and
Oh
he
yeah.
dominated the entire year. They re-released the movie in Christmas time, so he dominated in the second half of the year. And yeah, E.T. killed everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, all right. A couple of indies here I definitely want to talk about that are new this week here. Of course, I've been a champion of all the Energon Universe releases because it's just been absolute fun. Of course, Energon Universe includes the new title Void Rivals, which is definitely like a sci-fi out in space sort of thing like that. That kind of kicked off this new shared universe that includes G.I. Joe and the Transformers. I've done an episode on the podcast as well about the whole Energon universe, but at this point, G.I. Joe and Cobra are in their like Genesis stages. They don't officially exist, and so the Duke series kind of follows his journey of why the fact that there are these giant transforming robots and the U.S. government's not doing anything about it. Matter of fact, they're trying to cover up the existence of this stuff here, and they're trying to quiet him as well. So he's just eventually assembling a ragtag band of misfits that includes G.I. Joe stalwarts like Rock and Roll, Clutch, and Stalker, but also including the Baroness. So she's on the good side for a strange reason. If you're a G.I. Joe fan, you know that doesn't quite jive. So, yeah, there's a corresponding Cobra Commander series that's out right now, also equally good. But yeah, so that's issue number 4 of Duke. And just, everything right now in the Energon universe is firing on all cylinders. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's familiar territory if you're a G.I. Joe or Transformers fan or both, but they also do some new things, and they're also not afraid to pull their punches. So some of the stuff may not necessarily be for little kids. Even the Transformers book can get very violent in surprising ways. So, yeah, just saying, it's really awesome, but it's like, yeah, maybe not for the little ones. Another series I've been championing is the current Conan the Barbarian series from Titan. Yeah, issue number 9 is new this week here, and this is the A cover here by Mike Deodato Jr., which one of my all-time favorite artists there. Love his work. But I couldn't pass up this particular variant cover. It's the map cover here of the Thurian Age, which, if you are familiar with your Conan lore of the Thurian Age, that is the time of Kull the Conqueror, which Kull is a Robert E. Howard character, but he predates Conan the Barbarian's time. He's before Conan. So, how was a Kull the Conqueror map corresponding with the new issue of Conan? You're going to have to find out.
I just picked that issue up today at Clobberin.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything for folks there, but if you're an old school Conan, Kull the Conqueror, Robert E. Howard fan of anything, yeah, run, don't walk to get that issue. Couple of Marvel titles here I definitely want to talk about this week. New issue of Ultimate Spider-Man number 3 is out this week. The Ultimate series has been extremely popular. Basically, the issues are selling out like crazy. And, I think so we've currently got a Spider-Man, a Black Panther, and the X-Men series out right now. And there's upcoming a Ultimates series, which that's the Ultimate Universe's version of the Avengers. But if you're familiar with this new branch of the Ultimate stuff, it's not the universe that came out previously. This is kind of a new universe that the evil Reed Richards, aka the Maker, has created in his own image. So the big gimmick on this new Spider-Man book is that Peter Parker is a grown adult, new to his spider powers. He's not had these since he was a teenager. He's literally in his late 30s, getting in his early 40s. He and MJ are married. They have a son and a daughter, and now he's got spider powers, and he's trying to balance learning to be a superhero, learning to fight supervillains, which is, sometimes not quite worked out very well, and then being a husband and a father at the same time. So, a lot of familiar faces in Spider-Man lore, but a lot of differences, a lot of changes, so it's kind of interesting here. Jonathan Hickman is the writer. Marco Cicchetto does the interior art, and I mean, that's a superstar team. It's definitely some great writing for Hickman, because sometimes, people are a little nervous, especially X-Men fans like Hickman get a little long in the tooth, but yeah, this stuff's good here. The interesting thing about this issue is that we're introduced to this new Ultimate Universe as Green Goblin and Bullseye at the same time, and some differences that are interesting. So that one's where I haven't read the Black Panther series because that kind of deals with more of kind of the political structure of this new Ultimate Universe. So there's not into that. And then the X-Men series is Peach Momoko, which I gotta confess, I'm not a huge fan of her art style. No, she's like one of the most popular artists in the world right now. Can't deny that, but just not a fan of the art style. And I'm not a huge X-Men fan anyway, so I just stuck with Spidey. Next up, I got a couple more here. This is the current issue of Amazing Spider-Man number 46. I've really enjoyed Zeb Wells' run on here. We've got a new guest artist for this storyline, Carmen Canero. Of course, John Romita Jr. does the covers on here, but yeah, Carmen Canero's art here, absolutely love it. And if you're an old school Spider-Man fan, the Sinister Six, the old gang, is getting back together again. But some of their members are not exactly thrilled with when to get back together because if you've been reading Spider-Man for a while, Sandman has been trying to reform, get past his evil ways. He's been in Ravencroft willingly as a patient, trying to, cast off his evil persona. But the rest of the team, they're like, no, we need you for this. Come on, let's go. Let's go do evil things here. And yeah, he's not quite willing to play along here. But yeah, some interesting things brewing up there for the resurgence of the Sinister Six, the original Sinister Six. Couple more here. New issue of Daredevil, number 7 here. Another Romita cover here. Despite the cover of really, it's not the great. This cover's been getting a lot of flack this week here for not being a good cover here, and well, I'll let you judge that. Meanwhile, the story inside here, really been enjoying Saladin Ahmed's run of kind of Daredevil, taking on a new persona of a priest and moonlighting as the vigilante Daredevil, but he's been essentially fighting demons that represent the 7 deadly sins. Unfortunately, they're possessing friends of his. So he goes into the bar with no name to meet Logan, and Logan seems to be possessed by said demon, but not necessarily the demon you would think Logan would be possessed by. So we've already covered, I think we've already covered greed and sloth. So we're kind of, this is basically our third instance here. So people will think maybe wrath, but not quite. But yeah, you get a heck of a fight for the ages between Wolverine and Daredevil in this issue, and it gets bloody. And speaking of bloody, the final issue, number 4 of the Thunderbolts miniseries here that Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing have been writing here. This is kicked off from their run of Captain America following Bucky, the Winter Soldier, reforming a group of Thunderbolts that includes Sharon Carter, the Red Guardian, John Walker, the U.S. Agent, Black Widow, and the White Widow, basically under the auspice that, we've got all these supervillains. They're still out here. A lot of them are causing major issues. Why are we letting them live? Maybe we need to take a little more proactive approach here. So, target number 1, the Red Skull. And first issue, we take out one of the false Red Skulls to find the actual Red Skull. And we actually do find the actual Red Skull here. This issue, though, we get maybe a little help from good Victor Von Doom. So that's the tie-up of this miniseries with a promise of more to come. But yeah, it's, a lot of good spy espionage stuff in the Thunderbolts miniseries here. And yeah, just could not resist. Fantastic stuff there. So really enjoyed that. So definitely worth checking out. All right. Well, that wraps all our comic book stuff up here, Carl. So we're going to take a little bit of a breather here for acknowledge our sponsor, Comic Books for Kids. And we come back, we got a lot more to talk about with your art there. So be right back.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
And we are back, folks. And if you're just now tuning in here, we are with Carl Wilson, one of my friends here and an artist you guys definitely need to know here. So we were talking earlier about some of your art styles here. Of course, you work a lot with inks. You're getting more into oil painting now. This one here, I assume this has got to be an oil painting here. Your Tusken Raider picture here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's go ahead, George.
Oh yeah, I was thinking, this one's absolutely stunning. Of course, you use this on some of your professional, like your business cards and stuff like that. Rightly so, but yeah, I mean that's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so that it was one of my not a huge part of the original Star Wars, but I just love the look and I love this particular shot that they it was a widely publicized promotional shot they did of the Tusken Raider for the original movie. And there's a pretty famous artist, Basil Gogos, I think is how you pronounce his name. He did a ton of covers for famous monsters of Filmland. And I kind of took some inspiration from his style because he would have the subject matter, of course, as the focal point of the art, and then kind of this hazy kind of mix of colors in the background, which is essentially what I tried to replicate, although, I changed the colors around, obviously. But yeah, I love his style, loved all those covers that he used to do. So that's kind of how this piece came about.
Yeah, I can definitely see that because Basil was an amazing artist here. Dave Mattingly chiming in. Hello, Dave. Good to see you, sir. He's agreeing that the Tusken Raiders are fantastic. So yeah, Dave's one of our super fans here. Great fella. So thank you very much for tuning in. Oh, and also, Dave, we were talking about Carpenter films earlier. He's saying his favorite Carpenter film is They Live. It's the one he watches the most, though. Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, I love both of those.
Big Trouble in Little China. It basically, if I'm making a top 5, that would be number 4 for me. So, but yeah, that's a great movie. So, let's get back to it. Basically, so we were talking about Basil. What basically a picture he would definitely be proud of, I would think here. This Frankenstein here. Absolutely, just love that one. Very much looks like Basil style as well here.
Yeah, that one. I was a huge fan growing up of all the Universal black and white monster films, and of course Boris Karloff usually gets all the props and credit for a great version of Frankenstein, which he did. But as far as the look goes, I really this is Glenn Strange. Who actually is a veteran of a lot of Western shows and films, but I just found his version of Frankenstein, I don't know, more imposing, a little scary, and of course, it's the version that was in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. So I love that film too.
Nice. I was about to ask which Frankenstein films did he perform in? So yeah, that would explain that one. So yeah, it was almost like if you don't get into like the original Universal films, it's either like the Costello movies or something like that. There's always some other kind of other entry point for kids to get into the Universal stuff there. So yeah, I love that. It's a lot of fun. Of course, other monster stuff here. One I picked off your social media because I absolutely love this one here. Your Michael Myers. Just a half profile shot. That is fantastic.
Yeah, that was another one I originally did quite a while ago. That was actually done on a black T-shirt, probably about 2009.
Oh wow.
Which my wife actually has that T-shirt still. She more or less said that's mine, so she has it.
Mhm.
But yeah, back when I was doing a lot of airbrushing, did a lot of T-shirts and some other things, and that was one of my first pieces on black T-shirt,
Okay.
and I just thought, yeah, it turned out pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just the detail on the mask and the wrinkles are just incredible. Yeah, so that's got to be difficult to get that kind of detail on cloth.
Well, that was one of the nice things. I don't do a whole lot of airbrushing anymore, but on occasion I will. But that was one
Hmm.
of the nice things about working with airbrush is the ability to get a lot of very subtle shading, which
Ah, okay.
I did for this piece here.
Okay, great. And of course, you were recently a guest artist over at Clobbering Comics, the Shepherdsville location, for their anniversary sale here. And you were doing some comic covers here. So this is the one you shared with me for your Joker cover. And I love this one because it's a golden age Joker.
Yeah, that one I wasn't quite sure how to like originally where to go with this.
Hmm.
That's not his normal hairstyle.
Right.
That actually comes from I think it was this, there was a cartoon, Adventures of Batman and Robin, I think, and it was a
Yep.
version of the Joker, although in that cartoon, he had black hair with, I think, a green streak on the sides.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought that was be a little fun nod to throw in there.
Yeah, I absolutely like it. Yeah, that was the because after the Batman show finished, I guess in the '60s, they did the animated show, but they still had the voices of Adam West and
Right.
Burt Ward.
Yes.
So they basically,
Yes.
so yeah, but yeah, that was it. They didn't use like any of the other actors from the show. They just used Batman and Robin. That was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I remember that Joker. He was odd. It was kind of like, well, it's kind of a Joker, but yeah, but still, I like that style, and it definitely has, of course, the cards he's holding has very much kind of a golden age kind of feel to it as well. So yeah, really enjoyed that one there.
Yeah.
So of course, we were talking about Basil Gogos has been an inspiration of yours. What has been some of your other inspirations, either as artists or as movies or whatever else that's really just drawn you in and pulled you in and really inspired you to do some of your work?
Well, I'd say very early on, and fans of comics are going to obviously instantly recognize these names, some of these names I'm about to throw out there. But I started, I guess, figure drawing from How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, which I actually still have two copies in my library.
Nice.
So John Buscema, of course, was huge influence, and still to this day love his work. And I'll throw a plug, that new Conan series that you mentioned. They've got a fantastic artist working on that, and I believe he's almost more or less mimicked Buscema's style for the
Yep.
stories for this Conan comic. Part of why I love it. It just has a very 80s feel to it. So anyway, Rob Delatorre, I think is his name.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
he was with the first couple of issues, then was off for a couple, and then now he's back on this new issue. So that was funny thing. Is like when I read that issue and saw he was back on, I instantly thought of our conversation we had last weekend when you stopped in the shop and everything. I was like, yeah, we were talking about like, oh, I want him back on the book. I was like, he's
yes,
back.
yes, I was very happy to hear that. Let's see. So John Romita Sr., John
Oh
Romita
yeah.
Jr., Gene Colan,
Hmm.
Gil Kane, Ross Andrew. I mean, I grew up with all of those, and probably bits and pieces I incorporated into my drawing as I kind of progressed through it. And I cannot leave at all Alex Ross out.
Oh no.
Um, when he first did, well, I think we talked about this a little bit too. He did a few comic series prior to the Marvels,
Right.
but that was really the first time I'd seen his work. And I don't think really anybody had ever done anything like he did, where he gave a very realistic version of art of what superheroes and villains would look like in the real world.
Yeah.
And I think that came out in '93 or yeah. So
Yes. Yes.
ever since then, I've been a huge fan of his, and follow him, and always am still love the stuff that he does. So
Yeah. Actually, you did a tribute piece to him here, which I think is
yes.
uncanny. I mean, that literally just looks like that's just the Alex Ross print. That of Spider-Man. Peeking in the window. I can't remember what issue that is of the Marvels, but it's definitely an iconic image from that series. But yeah, just absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
That's like,
that's definitely one of my favorite pieces from that series. And I guess I differentiate it from his in that he mostly, I think, works in gouache, which is a type of medium that's a mix between acrylic paint and watercolor paint. And my version was done all in oil paint.
okay.
But yeah, had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning there, which, it kind of mixes in what we were talking about, with, Roberto De La Torre, that, he basically is, changing his art style to mimic John Buscema's art. And then, of course, you're kind of doing, changing the medium a little bit, but you're basically mimicking your art style to look like Alex Ross. So, and, like I said, I wish I had the original to put next for comparison, but yeah, it's like, that's just absolutely, I can't tell the difference, honestly. So yeah, that's, kudos to you on that one. So,
Well, I've got well, whenever time allows, I've got this thought where I'm hoping to take a lot of iconic Silver Age, Marvel characters, and sort of do something similar, but take them and kind of give them a realistic look and feel, but kind of incorporate my style into that.
yeah, that would be, I'm all for that. That sounds great. Of course, you were saying at the top of the show that, of course, you grew up, always, wanting to draw, but you've really kind of only been at this for, like you said, like the last 5 or 6 years.
Well, I never went to art school. I've always kind of thought I might. I mean, I don't know. From when I was a teenager, I thought I wanted to be a comic book artist, and life just kind of took me in a different direction.
Yeah.
Especially when I found out how much art school was. That's one of the great mysteries of the world, I think, because maybe not so much in this day and age, but back in the day, artists didn't come out of school, no, usually making a whole lot of money. Yet art school is one of the most expensive schools that you can go to and study. So these days, I mean, there's YouTube, almost unlimited resources for learning how to draw, paint, everything out there. So, but yeah, never went to art school, so just kind of picked things up here and there, and just worked on it off and on, throughout the years. But yeah, I've really buckled down probably the last 3 or 4 years and have really gotten serious with it.
That's outstanding. So, I mean, yeah, that's just a great message to send to people. It's like, do it yourself. Literally, it's like, yeah, you can go to your expensive schools, you can do this, but like also you can learn in other ways. And I mean, like, so here's your Adam West Batman drawing you sharing here. I think your talent is very evident here, and it's just fantastic. That's like, no professional training, been doing this for basically seriously for less than a decade. I mean, come on, dude. It's like that's really just outstanding work here. So.
Well, I love that piece. It's actually started off as an airbrush painting on, traditional canvas.
Okay.
And a little ways into it, I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'll, try and this was one of my early oil paintings. This was probably 2021, I think, that I did this.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell, towards the bottom of the painting, it's not 100% finished. So that kind of
Interesting.
lets the focal point be the red bat phone and his face.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to, kind of a style or, a look where it's not 100% finished, but the middle, the phone and the face really draw you to that part of the painting.
See, that's interesting because, of course, like you can see his gloved hand, but like I just assumed the gray on the bottom is just part of the suit. It's like that is really interesting. I did not notice that.
Well, and it's interesting because of that. At all the shows I go and do, that is one of the top sellers, and people comment on that probably more than just about any other piece I've got.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, speak of the devil, my junior fanatic Seth Moore, hello, sir, saying it says that's a killer Adam West. So see, there you go. So
thank you.
Seth, of course, is the co-host of his own podcast, Smokes and Road Beers. So they've got a new episode out last night. Yeah, so there you go. Check that out. But aside from your art here, of course, we've talked about Carpenter stuff here. What's some of the other stuff you really geek out about that either inspires your art or just kind of feeds that need?
Well, I mean, I do collect comics. I've kind of like with the art. I've was collecting comics earlier in life. Some periods I kind of fell off a little bit. I'm back to collecting but I guess not as much as I used to. I mean, I definitely kind of pick and choose and don't just pick all the Marvel stuff or everything off the rack. But yeah, so comics, hand in hand with, my love of Marvel from the 70s and early 80s, I'm kind of a vintage toy collector.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, I love not just everything out there, but stuff that I had when I was a kid. So this can be Shogun Warriors, the 24-inch from the figures from the late 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Micronauts, of course, Star Wars from Kenner, G.I. Joe, $6 Million Man. I mean, yeah, I just had a good childhood. I'll definitely admit that. And
nice.
I just find it kind of fun. I mean, I don't, see pieces when we're out somewhere and they go into the display case in the basement.
If there's still a holy grail piece you're still looking for and haven't found, or at least haven't found the right price for it yet?
Well, I'm kind of on the lookout. I'd love to have this actually isn't something that I had, but the Kenner Alien figure.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
Very expensive piece. I mean, you find a complete one. Certainly if you find one in the original box, that always drives up the price for just about anything. Yeah, that would probably be one. There's still a few of the Shogun Warriors, the 24-inch. I've got Mazinga, Dragun, and Raideen, Godzilla. So yeah, still a few, to go in that collection. But it's just kind of fun. I mean, I'm not constantly on eBay just buying stuff up. It's kind of fun just to find stuff, if you just happen to be out somewhere.
Very nice. Yeah, I'd say you would appreciate this. Of course, Marvel's doing all the facsimile reprints. They're doing them like crazy these days.
Oh yeah.
A facsimile reprint of Shogun Warriors #1. I think is coming out next month. Then they just announced for June a facsimile reprint of Godzilla King of the Monsters #1. So
that one, I don't think I used to have the Shogun Warriors #1 back in the day. I do have a copy of Godzilla #1, but I'll have to look out for the Shogun Warriors. If I recall, that was Herb Trimp that was the artist on that, and he was one of the artists that I think when I was growing up wasn't a super huge fan, but he's definitely grown on me and love his artwork now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, because I think he did some of the early G.I. Joe stuff too, and
yes.
yeah. So yeah, definitely one of our architects of our childhood. That's for sure. Yeah, it looks like Marvel got the rights back to both ROM and the Micronauts recently. So they can't print new stories, but they can reprint the heck out of the old stuff. So they did facsimile reprints of #1 of both their series respectively, and they both have complete omnibuses now. So they've both been released. I think they were released late last year, I believe. So yeah, so ROM and Micronauts fans are finally getting their due for all the old Marvel stuff. And then Shogun Warriors and Godzilla's coming next. So there you go. All of our childhoods are coming back to haunt us in our later years. So
yes, everything we bought when we were kids, we get to buy all over again. Well, actually, it's probably our parents that bought it when we were kids. Now we're buying it all over again.
Yeah, that's pretty much it is. Yeah. I just had a discussion with somebody the other day, and they were talking about, it's like in like 10, 15 years when, the kids of today, are going to be, going into their 20s or maybe even, going into maybe their early 30s or whatnot. It's like, what are the toys they're going to reminisce over that they grew up with today? The answer is our stuff, because there really isn't any like big toy that's out, but kids are still jazzed over Pokemon, Dragon Ball, Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man. So all our toys, everybody still loves, and no one loves the new stuff.
Well, I think that's actually 100% right.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That nostalgia bug is very real. So,
oh yes.
Well, going back to your art, so basically, since you've kind of had like a do-it-yourself sort of career, how do you handle like self-promotion, getting your name out there, being able to showcase your stuff?
Well, that's probably where I'm suffering, because, I somewhat know what to do. I have a website. I'm terrible about consistent, regular social media posts.
Oh yeah.
I wish I could hire somebody, to just do the marketing for me. At one point, I thought my wife was going to do that, but she does work, so I can't really, push that on her.
Sure, yeah.
So I try and do, what I can, but I'm usually so focused on, when I'm not working and when I'm not doing art, well, I'm usually doing art when I'm not working. So it's just remembering, okay, stop, take 30 minutes or whatever, put together some posts for the week. But yeah, I'm just kind of bad about that. But I try and do as much as I can when I'm out at shows, lots of business cards, talk with a lot of people. So.
Yeah, and speaking of which, do you have any upcoming shows coming up that you want to plug?
Well, let's see. I'm going with Bill Hood to Metropolis, Illinois in June, Superman celebration.
Nice.
So I've not been to that one, but he's told me a lot about it, and sounds like a really fun time.
Yeah, I've heard similar stories as well. It sounds like a blast. So,
I guess the biggest show of the year is going to be Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky.
Nice.
So that I've been to the show before, but not as an artist. So I'm a little nervous about it, because there's thousands upon thousands of people that go to that show. But that should still be fun.
It's going to be a great way to get your stuff out there. So it's awesome.
Yeah, well, I do a lot of course, I do a lot of comic and science fiction stuff, but I do a lot of horror stuff too.
Oh yeah, sure. And that's the thing, your work kind of goes, it kind of covers all that spectrum and whatnot. So yeah, I think you'll get a fine crossover audience with all your stuff, I think. So yeah.
Well, and I guess the other big show I can think of is the Gallatin Comic Con in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Nice.
I think last year they had several members from the original Dukes of Hazzard show there. John Schneider, Tom Wopat, Catherine Bach, and some others were there. This year, at least what I've heard so far, is Happy Days reunion. So Henry
Hey.
Winkler's going to be there, Potsy, Ralph Mouth. So they told me there's going to be more people. They just haven't officially announced the additional guest yet. So, but that one should still be fun also.
Dude, Henry Winkler is a blast. That guy is just full of joy. He loves the fact that many, many people love him. Doesn't matter where you know him from. He will talk your ear off if you let him, and he'll be your best friend. So, yeah. Yeah, meeting Henry Winkler is definitely a highlight of my life. I didn't get an opportunity to interview him, but yeah, that guy, they love that dude. So, yeah. So yeah, you'll have fun with that. So see, there you go, folks. You got a few different opportunities to come see Carl live. See his art, buy his art. More importantly, support local art. But yeah, so it's been absolutely fantastic having you on here and getting to showcase your talent, sir. So thank you very much for being on.
No, well, I very much appreciate you having me on, George. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, and sure, one more piece of yours here, of course, the old school Joe fan of me. We got to show up your Snake Eyes there. Another piece of yours. I was really like, it was between this one and the Gene Simmons, and I chose the Gene Simmons one for I've been a Kiss fan longer than I've been a Joe fan, but yeah, I was like, oh man, that Snake Eyes, just the old school Commando. It's like, oh yeah, absolutely love that one. So folks, so definitely check out Carl Wilson. You have your carlhwilson.com website and your Facebook page. So you can check out all the art on that. Support local art as well. So thank you again for being on the show here. And yeah, we had ourselves a good show, didn't we, Sarah?
Yeah, I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, folks, here for tuning into the Fanatic Forum here, and we will see you next time. You'll have yourself a fantastic Easter weekend. Go see Godzilla and Kong. I hear it's a blast. Or go out, enjoy the outdoors here. There's sunshine now.
Spring is finally here.
Yes, it is finally sprung. Thank God. So, all right, folks, you all have yourselves a good one, and we will see you next time on the Fanatic Forum.